over there, jet lag, how you doing? Welcome to our virtual mastermind. It was amazing seeing you guys a few days ago. It was absolutely such an honor and a privilege on behalf of Matrix, on behalf of even me, just sharing food, breaking bread, giving hugs, giving advice. It was really, really, really impactful for me, and just speaking to everybody there. We're really fired up. So a couple of housekeeping reminders, cameras on, those really help out a ton. I know we just saw your face a few days ago, but having cameras on is the best. And also just a quick reminder that you guys also have access to TIR. Go to your portals. I know there was a little bit of a buzz of people in the room in Chicago, even afterwards, saying like, I really want to jump right back into content. I want to get back on the horse. That's all that's available to you being a member of the Elite 100. So just jump into your portals, have access, join us on Monday nights. Let's get it going. And with that, I want to actually pick on someone to read the Mastermind principles. And because we didn't see Nelson, I'm going to grab you, Nelson. If you can do it for us, sir, we want to hear your beautiful voice, and let's kick us off. If that's cool with you?
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. Mastermind principles. I release myself to the mastermind because I am strong when I have others to help me. I believe the combined intelligence of the mastermind creates a wisdom far beyond my own. I understand that I will more easily create positive results in my life when I'm open to looking at myself, my problems, and opportunities from another's point of view. I decide to release my desire totally and trust the mastermind, and I am open to accepting new possibilities. I forgive myself for mistakes I've made. I also forgive others who have hurt me in the past so I can move into the future with a clean slate. I ask the mastermind to hear what I really want, my goals, my dreams, and my desires, and I hear my mastermind partners supporting me in my fulfillment. I know, relax, and accept, believing that the working power of the mastermind will respond to my every need. I am grateful knowing this is so. I now have a covenant in which it is agreed that the mastermind shall supply me with an abundance of all things necessary to live a success-filled and happy life. I dedicate myself to be of maximum service to the world and my fellow human beings, to live in a manner that will set the highest example for others to follow and remain an open channel of God's will. I will go forth with a spirit of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy.
Spoken like a true master. Nelson, we missed you, bud. It sounded amazing. And with that, I want to bring on Brian Dalmazzo to lead us in wins and takeaways.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Antonio. Thanks for doing such an amazing job as the MC. If you guys give it up for Antonio, he absolutely crushed it, in my opinion, bringing the energy and the humor, the fun, the intensity, the highs, the lows. I mean, it was an emotional week, in my opinion, on many levels. And you just you really brought the heat, man. I appreciate you. Why don't we do this really quick? I just want to catch a quick win or the top thing from the week. We'll go around the room here. So, Len, what was like one of the main things that you loved about the week?
So, of course, getting together is a big win. But for me, it's always about material. And I've got to say that your talks brought me the most power. And I always feel like all the business deals that we do are hinging upon a good foundation, and a good foundation is mindset. So it always goes back to me. I'm a one-trick pony. Foundation, and then we can build upon that. So material for me.
Love it. Mr. Guido, what about you guys? You guys had a blast at the Gatsby party. You guys are ripping it up.
Oh man, I just to echo what Len just said, it's just always awesome to get together and see you guys' beautiful smiling faces, but also just the collaborations that come out of those relationships are just awesome too. And so, yeah, I just look forward to communicating with a lot of folks later on this week that we've set up deals, etc. So just couldn't be more happier about the event and just the love that was showcased at the event.
Love it. Mr.
Greg,
Gulak.
amigo, Greg was the best on the pictures.
I was the best on the pictures.
He absolutely was. Those guys having a blast. Absolute blast. Mr. Gullikson.
All right. Good try. Good try.
What was the highlight of the week for you?
Oh man, it was fantastic. It's first one for me. Hold on. I got to plug in.
Mr. Swerk, what about you? We'll come back to Mr. Gullikson.
Oh boy, Brian, like so many things. I really love the new member panel. I thought that was amazing.
Yes.
And I have two new inspirations to add to my self-image board. Taking on, I won't identify any names. Some of you are there will catch this phrase. However, we have someone in this group like ridiculous work ethic and loves the idea of grinding. That doesn't feel good for me. However, what I took out of that is, Matt, I could have much more focus. Like there's another human being that can just is compressing time to get so much done. So I absorbed that. And I think, Brian, you're here. I don't think we've seen you before. Excuse my foul language. However, the term that I'm a fucking Terminator when it comes to follow-up, like that's amazing. And then the other thing, Brian, which was just so impactful, like the people that you brought in, Jeremy Locke, oh my gosh, you know, it was heavy and it was so inspirational that when I walked away from that, it just made me feel I want to be able to, you know, I'm going to do more to contribute more, and going back to, here's the $1 million check, like go run with it, have fun with it. So just amazing. Thank you so much.
I love it. Mr. Tyler Smith, are you available? Because I think that's who the other person that Matt was talking about. What was your, my mini Terminator, what was your week? What are some of the things you like the most?
No, I would say that, like, obviously the biggest thing is making meaningful relationships and connections, because obviously at the end of the day, a lot of, you know, other things kind of stem from that. So I think the biggest takeaway, you know, for me is obviously all the content was great. The relationships are great. But I think the biggest thing is that, like, making sure that you're in the rooms with the right people, right, to help you grow, to help you, like, you know, learn, help you kind of get to the next level. So I think, you know, just based off the conversations that we've had, the relationships that I've built, I just think that, like, for me, a huge takeaway is that it's super important to be involved in these types of groups, to go to these types of events. You know, sometimes it's not easy because you got to move some stuff around, but like 100% worth it. And I had a great time. So thank you for everyone.
Awesome. Well, thanks for making the time. I know you got a baby on the way, and it's not easy sometimes. That's, you know, that's why we do 2 a year instead of 4 or 6. You know, sometimes a lot of groups, they do, it's tough to get the 4 events a year, but
but regardless, it's totally worth it. You know what I mean? Awesome. It's super important, you know, especially from like a personal development, relationship development, all that good stuff. So
awesome. Love it, love it, love it.
You probably can't see my hand, but I just wanted to ask what Alana felt about everything.
Go.
So she thought it was cool. You know, I think that, you know, she liked it. I think she maybe wasn't in the right, like, mindset of the actual event. You know what I mean? I think that it was really good clarity for her to kind of understand, you know, what these events are, right? The types of people that we're meeting, right? The relationships that we're building. So I think, like, it definitely gave her some great clarity as to, like, you know, what goes on there. But like from like an involvement standpoint, I think she wasn't really like totally dialed in. But other than that, you know, she loved it. She loved everybody. She had a great time. And she was happy that she came. So
I love that. I hope we get to see more of her.
Yeah, for sure. I'll make sure I drag her along.
Mr. Dugan, what about you, brother?
So for me, it's been a simpler concept of that idea of abundance. There've been a lot of conversations that really emphasize that idea of more and channeling that inside to like manifest more. I mean, coming into yesterday, we put a deal under contract, a condo flip, 550, put 150 into it, sell for $1 million. I lost out on 2 other properties, but this is just like casually doing other work. Like this idea of like, all right, hold on a second. We have plenty of opportunities in front of us. Let's actually just focus on that. You know, I had a conversation with Michael on like that gratefulness and awareness of abundance and opportunities. Like there are opportunities that hit my desk all the time, but I don't even register it as that. It's just a property. Like I'm not even paying attention to it. Mm-hmm. And then somebody recommended 10X is better than 2X. I started listening to that. And it's like, holy shit, that is way easier. Like when you start to shoot for something much bigger, everything falls into place behind, and that those little key mindset shifts, the foundational items that sometimes I take for granted. And I don't know if a lot of us do, but like, hey, the mindset is the core. Without that foundation, sometimes you can lose track of the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's one thing that we always talk about, that Bob really tuned me into, is like it's not any harder to think about $100 million net worth versus $1 million net worth. It's just different thinking. It's not harder. A lot of people confuse that. Like, well, that's way different. It's not. We just, when we're thinking about 100 million, $1 billion, or whatever it is, the bigger deals just causes you to think leverage, scale, and your thought energy is just different. And it's funny because it actually is easier, right? Once we understand our mind and how this all works. So I love that.
100% easier, because usually when you're working with individuals who are on a lower vibration, lower income, there's just this resistance across the board. You need a massive amount of scale. So when you start to like work with individuals who are like, hey, write $1 million check, it's like that was easy. Or like work on a big project, like you can start to channel in the right collaborative partners much faster versus like working on that smaller scale.
Absolutely. Love it. Mr. Shine, what about you, brother? What was some of the highlights of the week? Anything that really stood out for you?
Yeah, sorry, my microphone. Yeah, I just love this group. I love the it's like, I don't know if this is the best way, but it's kind of like my safe space, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You're out there in the world and people have, like Kevin was saying, sort of a resistant mindset. And then, so I'm usually the one driving the positivity bus, but then you get here and you're among people who all believe the same. I just love it. It's just awesome to see everybody, and mindset is a key for me. So, and for Brenda. So yeah, it was just awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, we love having you there. Love having you both there. So, Yun, what about you?
Same thing to echo. It's all the people. It's strengthening the relationships that we currently have, introducing new ones that we haven't met. I mean, it's really cool to be on the Zoom, but I mean, there's nothing like skin to skin.
Yes.
So I love that connection. And I'm really grateful, like Matt was saying, that you brought Jeremy Locke in to be able to hear the stories of such an amazing, courageous man, you know, the courage and what him and his team are doing. It makes my heart really happy.
Yeah, I'm actually looking to see it. He doesn't know this, but I'm looking to see if we can actually bring him into the group, because we don't have anybody in that sort of vertical, that element. What a great selfless guy. So
it sounds like he likes it. I mean, he literally said, you literally did the screening process to bring all my greatest friends together in one room. So
yeah,
bring him right in.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Chris, what about you, bud? Mr. Patterson, what were some of the things, the highlights, or what did you like best about the week?
Hey, everybody. Highlight for sure was just introducing my wife to all of you. Her first time at the Matrix. She was so well embraced and loved on. Secondly, I just loved watching everyone dance and laugh. It was so awesome. I got video of Jan and my wife dancing, and I'll tell you what, who can cut a rug is Kendra. I was watching her. She was jamming. You put on the right music and she's going for it, right? The conversations were phenomenal. If you guys ever have a chance to hear Dave Van Hoos's story about how he sunk the boat, it is burned into my memory forever. It was the funniest story. My wife and I have been talking about it for 3 days. It was just, obviously he's a phenomenal storyteller, but that specific story was just so good. But just the time spent with everybody, tremendous learning, so much, so many things. I could go on and on, but those are the top ones for me.
Love it. Love it. Well, speaking of Mr. Van Hoos, what was your highlight for the week, bud?
I'm glad my sunken yacht can make you smile and happy. It was way worth it. But I used to tell that story from stage, and it's in my book. But, you know, we have ups and downs. I think, you know, like Napoleon Hill says, he had 17 principles to become successful. He said the most important principle was masterminding. And he said that within 1 year of masterminding would take you a lifetime. So obviously these masterminds are powerful. They really connect you on a spiritual level. You know, he says when two minds get together, a third one shows up. And then also just the resources, like, you know, we all need, you know, help with taxes or marketing or whatever. And so being able to go and ask other people, hey, who do you use? Because we know we don't want a good accountant. We want an outstanding accountant or a great accountant. So it's just, I think that's what the beauty of the mastermind is. And I think what's very special, I've been a part of so many mastermind groups because I'm always in 2 mastermind groups a year. And I've been doing it all the way back to Dan Kennedy 15 years ago. So that's probably what, about 60 different mastermind groups I've been a part of. This one's very special, my friends. This one is got a good heart. You know, our leader, Brian, has got a great heart and great intention. So I think that's what makes this group very, very special. Brian, I love the fact that you added the speed networking in. For me, that's like my main goal for these events is I already have enough information. It's about the connections and the relationships. So thank you for adding that. And it was great.
Awesome. Awesome. I love what you said about the masterminds being like, it really is too. When I started joining masterminds, you accelerated it's hard to describe to somebody who's never been in one, like the benefits that you get. And a lot of it is the human to human connection. So I love that. Liz, what about you? You know the dancing machine out there. What was the highlight of the week for you?
Oh, thanks, Brian. Yeah, the event was amazing. I have gotten out of being here each week. And so it just is such a reminder. You guys are so amazing. And making it part of my weekly routine again is a big thing for me.
Oh,
I
amazing.
also love that you talked about resisting the resistance. I relate to that statement very much. Trying to just power through instead of stepping back and going, wait a minute, where's the flow here? Right. And so that's been something I've been working on too. So I loved that.
I love that you caught that because that's a huge one for me. I found myself resisting. You want to embrace resistance, which it doesn't sound logical, right? But when you look at it through universal laws, it's like, wait a minute, I'm resisting resistance instead of getting into the law of non-resistance. So I love that you caught that. That was as much a learning point for me as I was saying it, as it was a teaching point. So I'm glad you got that. Mr. Gullikson, you're back. Highlight of the week for you, brother.
Yeah, just meeting everybody and just being part of a group of people that, you know, have big visions. And I really enjoyed Antonio. I just keep going back to the personality thing, how that really resonated with me, just trying to understand where I'm at and where other people are at, how I can relate and how I can help just based on personalities. Oh,
love it. Yeah, a lot of people got a ton of value out of Antonio's presentation. Mr. Markarian, I can see you driving away. What was highlight of the week for you?
You got another hour? I enjoyed every second of it. I'm 100% immersed in the content, and I think I was a different person there than I typically am, my charming self. But I wanted to connect with a few people, and I was able to do that. I'm so pumped about that. It was awesome. I missed the dancing, but it's okay. I'm not a good dancer, but it was awesome. Can't thank you enough, Brian.
Awesome. I was glad you could get there. Next time we're going to get your wife there as well.
Totally.
Get her to feel the love. So Kevin Lee, what about you, bud? What is the most impactful thing of the week that you can?
I just had this observation that every time we have a get together, like the very next day or the very next 2 days, we got the highest attendance. I just want to encourage everybody to show up despite, you know, we had like just meeting twice a year physically. Like this actually is, how would I say, this is kind of like my beacon, like what Jeremy said. Like
yes,
I'm streaming with all of you guys. And I think that just as important as like the physical get together, so much so is like the weekly as well. I feel like, yeah, we get a really high spike of attendance following the get together, but then it kind of just drops. And then we're just like waiting for the next one. I feel like, you know, the value is really just in the weekly to encourage each other to go on and so forth. So I just encourage everybody, you know, do the best to show up and so that we can really just provide value to one another. I'm going through like some tough time right now. So this is kind of like my anchor and beacon at the same time. Yeah.
I love that. And let me know if you need to have a hot seat in the group, because you guys all have access to that. If you're going through a challenge, you need the power of the group, just let me know. Within a couple of weeks, we'll get you in on a hot seat and the whole group will pour into you. And Kevin, I love what you said there, because you know, to me, this is obviously, that's our company, it's non-negotiable. And I'd love for you guys to be the same things, like Tuesdays at noon becomes a non-negotiable, right? In an actual mastermind, we come to serve, we come to give. And in that giving, right, the law of, you know, giving and receiving, we went over that cause and effect, energy out, energy back. You will quantum leap your life when you legitimately commit and show up to give. It's one of the laws of the universe, right? Giving and receiving. So I love that you said that. And this to me is what I love that you said. We're gonna have to do something in the tagline, because we now all know what a beacon is versus an anchor, right? That is such a brilliant thing to call this Tuesday meeting as a beacon. So Kevin, thank you so much for that. That was absolutely awesome. Last but not least, Ara, what was your takeaway or your highlight from the week? What did you enjoy the most?
Oh boy, where do I start? It's very difficult to say. The camaraderie, the brotherhood, the readiness to help each other and be there for each other. I mean, it's just that, as you know, well, I've been in every single one of these, and every time it gets better and better. I just, part of me says I want to have this on a quarterly basis, not a semi-annually, but I know it's difficult to do that. I know that.
Yeah, it's a fine line. I'm a part of other masterminds. When you start to go quarterly, a lot of people can't make it with kids and things. And what we're going to do this Friday, we're going to hammer out the next one. We're going to get you guys the timeline, you know, over 6 months in advance. So, because I think it's more important that we try to have close to 100% attendance instead of doing 4 or 6 a year, where it gets kind of watered down. But I know it is a fine line. And listen, you all got surveys. Please, please, please fill out the surveys for the weekly, right? That's just one thing, the weekly mastermind. And then we're going to give you another survey on the event itself. We want to continuously improve and make this better. So if there was enough people that wanted a third one or something, we'll figure something out. But more importantly, I want to make sure that we deliver for you guys and that we have just a high level of attendance.
I just wanted to thank you for putting it together, you and your team. It's incredible.
Our team is amazing. You guys met all the team. We have such an amazing team. I want to say thank you one more time to our team, because you guys all know, you all run companies. There's no way I could do this myself. You know, it's all done by the team. So we've attracted some of the best people.
Before I lose my seat, I know I speak for everyone. What the hell was that thing with a screwdriver in it? In our bag?
Oh, Val, what was the thing with the screwdriver?
Come on, Val.
It's a wallet.
It's a wallet. You can put your credit cards in it or whatnot. So the screwdriver is in there in case you have an abundance of credit cards, so you can make it bigger.
Okay, that makes sense.
But mine didn't open up. That's the problem.
I'll do a separate Zoom with you, bud. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Everybody was asking the same question. I know I'm the one who brought it up, but everyone's asking.
Couple of reminders, guys, and this is on your own. If you haven't seen the movie Sounds of Freedom, we've been talking about this for some weeks now, right? Go see that movie. It'll really connect you into what Jeremy and Tim Ballard are doing at a high level. It's fun. It's one of the things I saw Jeremy speak in California and got like addicted to his cause. Then I went and saw the movie, and it just really amped up. And it is a super dark subject, but it's also, we can be the light, right? We can work towards this. And I think it's a really good thing to see. The other thing is, we're coming off of an elite retreat. If anybody has somebody in your network that you think would bring value to this group, please, please, please get with me, get with Val. We'll do a two-way interview, see if they would bring value into the elite. But I think, we have whatever, 25, 30 members. Imagine us at 50, 60, 70, eventually 100, just the power and the energy. And that parlays right into the Elite 100 Syndicate. I would love to, actually, I'll talk about it a little bit here, but I want to do a satellite meeting this Thursday at 4, but there's a couple of people. Tyler, would you be able to make that one? Thursday at 4, Kevin Dugan, Ara. If not, we'll push it out a week, but I'd like to get going on it.
Sorry, when was it?
Brian, I'm sorry, woke up.
This Thursday at 4.
Thursday, 4 o'clock. I should
I
be
can
able
do
to.
4 o'clock.
You guys are good?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, I could do it.
All right, so I've been meeting with some of the high level real estate investors in the group, and we're forming a syndicate. This will be our first go. Tyler has solidified a deal that's, in my opinion, it's all papered. It's a no brainer. It's an easy way for this group to get our feet wet in real estate investing. And so this Thursday we'll present what that is. And so anybody has any interest in investing or learning about how to invest in the Elite 100 real estate syndicate, our goal is to drive this thing to $1 billion under management, like not a little fund, a big one. But the first thing will be a syndicate. And if you don't know the difference, we'll explain that. But I want to take a deep dive with these guys and invite all of you to see what we're going to be doing there as another revenue source, right? I am not a high-level real estate investor. This to me is very appealing because I can basically, hand over a pile of money to experts that do this for a living. So if you're in that boat, if you're not like heavy into real estate, if you're not spending 100 hours a week like Tyler is, like working deals, we're going to be able to leverage and benefit off of these people that literally spend all day, every day putting massive deals together. So I'll put more information in the chat, but it's going to be another benefit of the Elite 100 as we grow together. All right, any questions on that before we move forward? All right, we'll finish up today masterminding in God Works Through You. And we're going to transition into the science of getting rich. So make sure this week that you get the Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. I always get the digital version and the hard copy. So I do both. And I also get the Audible. And again, this is, 10 or 15 minutes a night. We're masterminding in the science of getting rich, right? And then every so often, every, 5th or 6th week, we'll pull it up here. We'll take a deeper dive, but we always want to be expanding that mindset. It's so easy to let that go, but I hear from every single one of you, it's the strongest thing we do, right? So studying in mindset together, I think is probably the most powerful thing that I get out of this. So I'm going to share the screen and pull this up. So this will be the last time we're masterminding for now, and God Works Through You. Let me do this. Let me put you guys over here. Mr. Patterson, would you care to lead us off from the top here? And again, guys, anywhere you want to stop, either just butt in or raise your hand. If you want to enhance on something, comment, ask a question, and we'll continue to mastermind and God Works Through You. Do we still have Chris with us? Oh, you might have dropped off. Greg, would you mind jumping in?
Yeah, absolutely. Who are you? Why is it important to know who you are? Listen to Ernest Holmes. In and by the one mind, you are known as a point of consciousness. Therefore, you have the power to know whatever you choose to know. Your knowing is done, and in this one mind, since there is no other mind. Consequently, you and this mind are one and the same thing. That's like the whole thing wrapped up into one right there.
Right.
This is what you are. When you grasp this concept of the real you, you have taken a long step toward true freedom. The God mind in you is perfect, but the human mind in its misdirected thinking causes the very mind of perfection to produce imperfection, the mind of freedom to produce bondage, the mind of health to produce sickness, the mind of plenty to produce poverty, the mind of happiness to produce misery. That is why Jesus said, ye shall know the truth. And
I have a question for you guys, and I don't have the answer. I have opinions on this. Why do you think we were created with the ability to sort of think through the human perspective, but also tap into universal intelligence and get into God consciousness? Why do you guys feel we were kind of born into society? We learned all the human mechanical way. And I'm curious about this one. I have my own theories, but Antonio?
So I think we were talking about it at the event, is like you kind of have to have a little bit of dark in order to appreciate the light, and vice versa. The human experience is, I feel like, designed to not only, experience like joy, abundance, love, care, kindness. Yeah, it's contrast. The human experience is not meant to be perfect. You might run into conflict, but in running into that conflict, you're able to express gratitude, develop resiliency, and move towards that connection with God. So I think that's why there's a contrast.
I love that. And Bob highlighted that when I was working with, he said, you wouldn't know joy if you didn't know pain. You wouldn't know happiness if you didn't know sadness. So it's part of a law, like the law of polarity, right? The law of opposites. So I love that point of view. Anybody else? I'm just curious, why you think we were created with the ability to sort of have human will and then tap into God consciousness. It's probably one of the most challenging questions, like why? Anybody else? No? Everybody's afraid of this one. It's deep, right, Yun?
To really allow the free expression of infinite expressions, right? So being all of it, like, I just believe it's even going to go even more and more as we go into our human journey, and as we elevate human consciousness, it's going to be more and more and more. So I believe even like what we can consider to be blissful and utopia, I think there's actual vibrations that we can experience as a human even further than that. And the same thing, law of polarity and the law of duality in the physical world, that also means that the contrast below is also there too in existence, right? And that's why groups like this is so powerful and meaningful, because it's really teaching us to be grounded, to be able to elevate, right? And continuously expand the human experience. Can you imagine the entire world as we study and we keep on, stretching the imagination, just think of Elon Musk alone, what he's done to stretch, what is the next future generations going to look like? What is our grandkids, what type of human experience are they going to enjoy? Right? But all of that, that's what makes it the human experience, is to be able to be aware of all the different levels of vibrations, all the different levels of feelings, right? Because feelings is just an interpretation of what vibration is. So that's
Love
my
that.
interpretation.
Love it. Yeah. So that's you're leaning towards a lot of what I understand is that in the beginning, all there was consciousness. There was no material thing. And then that consciousness decided to express physically. So my opinion, based on study over time, is that we are all iterations of God consciousness expressing physically, because that entity by itself didn't have that capability, or it did, but didn't choose to express in form. So now we have billions of iterations feeling all these different things, from what we would call extremely negative and toxic, like what Jeremy was talking, all the way up to bliss. And at a higher level of awareness, there's no such thing as good or bad, right? These are human conscious labels. So my opinion is this being, what we call God, is desiring to express every possible combination of lives that there is. And there is no such thing as good and bad. It just is, right? So Liz?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I love that, Yun. What I was going to add to that is you can't take someone to a place where you haven't been, and you can't necessarily relate to them until you can feel where they've been, right? So those different levels. And I think having that appreciation, because it's all about community, right? It's all about doing it together with others. And that, I think about that when I think about like why people go to church, right? Why people express their faith and they join together, right? Why we're all here, right? Is to help each other. And I think that starts with all of the different feelings and being able to relate to those.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Greg?
I was before Liz, by the way. You could spend your entire life on this page, but the main thing is your knowing is done with in this one mind. So I get up every day excited because I know all I have to do is call into creation that which has been created for me, right? Because creation is finished, right? Going back to power of awareness, but like that's a massively, like we can live in gratitude knowing that. We can live in happiness knowing that. So I think that is just, to me, that's what's so exciting about this life, is that we get to create that of which has already been created for us. And I think that's just super powerful and super exciting.
I love it. Love it. Yeah.
And just to add, I think that's exactly why it's so imperative now more than ever to, kind of not only be the example, but also teach others as well to always just go forward with love and abundance. like with love and abundance. There's so much competition and comparison, and not for nothing, as we as humans express more, there's more variations and more diversity and all of that. And to really stay out of judgment. And that doesn't mean that, you know, you have to like what everybody's doing, but really understand that's just there for you to discover more of who you are and what you are. And that's it. That's it, right? Because I believe, as, you know, I just hear so many things, and there's so much judgment that's said without even people realizing that's exactly what the program that is being said, right? But as we allow as humans to express more, there's just more and more and more and more. And so I just want to say, for all of us as, you know, servant leaders, to lead forward with love and abundance, with no judgment, and just know that everyone and every human on this planet has their own right for their own journey. We are not the judge of it all. We're just here to experience it all.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Mr. Nelson, you want to take over at the bottom there, or it says, that is why Jesus said?
Let's see.
It's at the very
That is
bottom.
what Jesus said, you shall know the truth. And why St. Paul said, now we see through a glass darkly. Before the full orb glory of your real Christ self can appear, before God can work through you as you, your human mind must be stilled. You must consistently know the one mind. Knowledge is always integral with the knower. As you train your human mind to accept one mind, one presence, and one power, it loses its function as a separate mind. Jesus said, whoever shall not receive the kingdom of God as a little child, he shall not enter therein, and also ye must be born again. The child has no preconceived opinions. He does not argue or reason about truth. He readily accepts and believes in that which he has never seen. To become as a little child demands that you set aside all your beliefs in two powers and identify yourself with the one mind. Do you know the truth, or are you still living in the pigsty of the human mind, the pigsty of the human mind? What is truth?
So this is an interesting one for me, because, you know, I relate being born again. I remember as a kid, like people knocking on my door. I didn't know what the hell they were doing. They had books in their hands. They're trying to convince you of something. And this whole idea of being born again. And now for me, I know that to understand, it's really just raising your level of awareness. You know, when I met Bob, I knew nothing of how the spirit, the intellect, and the body were three parts of a human that we operate simultaneously. So for me, the quote unquote being born again was not a religious thing at all. It was an awareness thing of the mind-body connection and understanding the mind map and how to tap into infinite intelligence. And my engineering brain could understand that there has to be an infinite intelligence. Where does it all come from, right? We don't generate things, we become aware of them. And so I'd be curious to hear what you guys think about the whole born again thing, and what maybe some of your experiences are. Kevin, question or comment?
Yeah, going through these couple pages just reminds me of like a simplicity of like a journey that you go on, like a phase in life, you know, from how matter was created in the earth to basic organisms to slightly more conscious beings to becoming more aware of our physical world, more tuned in with, you know, physical aspects, materialistic items, and then that rediscovery of like actual purpose and a why. Because even though there may be people who are born in a religious environment, they may not actually be truly understanding to the depth of true consciousness. They may feel elements, but even on my own end, you know, I'd say I went through a journey of being born in a religious environment, not really understanding, breaking away from the mold, and now diving back into like that depth of consciousness. And it seems like it's just truly a tapping into like a higher level of understanding with the energy of the world. And that consciousness is realizing like we all come from a very common source. Like the energy, the soul inside you, the spirit, and whatever you consider that, I truly believe like we're all brothers and sisters in a way. It's a fraction of energy created from, you know, the universe, however that may manifest to you, where if we act in unison and we truly understand that we're working together, we're all beings on the same planet towards a higher purpose, everything gets better. So that's the way that I'm seeing this interpretation come through. But yeah, consciousness and awareness is what it really comes down to.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. You said, some people that are heavily religious. My experience was almost everybody that I've ever known before this group here. I'm talking about in my early days, 5, 6, 7 years old. The people that were around me that are heavily religious, they weren't aware at all. They were using it for fear-based mechanisms. They thought that they had no part of anything. They didn't understand co-create. They just let everything to God, and they just did this one thing on a Sunday. And again, it was a very small group of people, so this is not religion worldwide, but my early experience made no sense at all to me. That's why I kind of rejected religion all those years until Bob kind of mechanically came at me and I don't know, brainwashed me through into understanding through like the mind map and tapping into source. And what is source? Well, that is God. And what grows an acorn into a tree? Well, that's God, right? And then what we're a part of. So I had a very, very long roller coaster of a road understanding spirit and theology, not really religion, but theology. So just
like a crutch for understanding, but an excuse for not actually going in deeper. So like truly tap into like what is truth.
Amen. Matt?
So I'll speak directly into this idea of born again. And Brian, it's funny because the phrase brainwash is such it's labeled very poorly. And realistically, I think, we could just reset and call mind wash, right? To remove those limiting beliefs.
Yeah, that's probably a better
clean
term.
ourselves, right? So this, the mechanical side of me drives right into lesson 1 as far as thinking into results and setting goals and really about who are we becoming? So every day, physically, we are a different version of ourselves. I love when Wayne Dwyer talks about that, when he's like, hey, listen, years before he passed, he was talking about like the body that I was in at 20, like that wasn't me. And as we're speaking now, our cells are regenerating, things are dying, things are growing, like we're constantly, of course, in motion. So someone had made this comment, I think it was a couple of years ago, of like killing a version of yourself. And of course, that visual to me was like, I don't really like that. But we'll bring it back to, what Bob Proctor says in regards to like, and it was funny because I first heard the term like after 6 months, you'll need a telescope to look back at how far you've come, right? Well, we all need like the James Webb, telescope, because even from last week, from, even yesterday, we're constantly evolving. So this idea of being born again, every single second of every single day, we're being born again by making the decision to go after something that's outside of ourselves and become a different version.
I love that. That's a factual statement too. And there's different points of view, like every 7 years, 11 years, but it is a fact that every single cell in your body will die and be replaced by another one over time. So we're literally not the same physical representation multiple times in our life. And the question I would say to you guys, is something to think about. Do you think it matters your state of mind as those cells are regenerating? Right? If you read The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy, you'll understand it absolutely does. Right? Every single human being has potential cancerous cells in their body, every single one of us. It's just, are they manifesting or not? And, do you think your mindset has a play in that, right? So it's just things to ponder. And that's why I love digging deep into these different books. Yun?
Absolutely. Everything in the physical world is literally the last piece that comes out that's been created energetically, right? So by the time we can see, hear, taste, smell, or touch it, it's already been created. And just like Greg was saying, everything just is. Everything is. But one of the things that I just wanted to bring to a visual, everything is energy that gets transmutated, right? Law of transmutation of energy. So we were energy before we enter this body. We come into this body, we get this intellect and a physical being, and then we get to enjoy this human experience. Whether it's Jeremy Locke or I don't see Dave Van Hoos here, like think about how many lifetimes they've lived in this physical body that they're living in, right? So they have all these different things. And then once we leave this body, we transmutate and come back again. And this is the wildest thing. And this is what I see as far as butterflies, rainbows, and unicorns in the future. Think about these little kids that are being born that they just know. You have little kids at 3 or 4 years old that can do multiplication, like just root off any numbers and multiply, and they're just this amazing calculator. Or they come in and they know scriptures from like the past, right? They have these things. And we as humans, when we encounter situations, how do we know what we know that we've never physically experienced in this lifetime? It's because we've experienced it as an energy form in a previous lifetime. Right? And that's what I go back to, like, can you imagine when I said like our future's kids and our kids' kids, like as they know this stuff and they get raised into an environment where they know that they're complete and they get to fully express. Can you imagine what that co-creation looks like?
1,000,000%. I have my own version of that, known as the COO of this company. But I was thinking about Tyler and his young wife, a new baby coming, and he's 27 years old, getting exposed to this material, and you know what that's going to look like, and then his kids, and yeah, the evolution of this energy and this information, I think, is it's life changing. It's we're all here to impact, and everybody here, or most everybody, probably everybody, has some version of a goal that's going to impact humanity. Whether it's hundreds of people, thousands, millions, or the planet, everyone here has some desire to leave legacy and impact. So, you know, I've often said that this group can change the world. Not can, we are changing the world. Nelson?
Yeah, one of the things I'll
Lenny,
comment on.
You had your hand up too, Lenny, right? Get you in after Nelson.
Yeah, and mine will be quick. One of the things that I love about this, you know, this content, the group and everything is it's all about abundance, which is super counterculture to the law of, you know, the scarcity mindset that pervades through society. And, you know, this creation, and once you understand this, that, you know, the living in abundance is such a better place. Abundance and gratitude is such a better mindset, you know, and I think that, you know, once you understand that, you know, you're made in the likeness of your creator, that abundance becomes a lot easier to understand.
It's a core energy, right? Yeah. And Bob used to say, you know, from abundance, you can take abundance, and there's abundance left. And that's in many, many books. And it's true. It's the law of infinite supply. So when we have our C-type goals, we're not taking from anywhere. There's infinite supply. It's all going to be based on what you think is possible in your belief system. So I love that. Love it. Lenny, you had your hand up a minute ago, bud.
I did. I need to go back here a little bit, but I feel like there's a difference between the God mind and our mind, but there's a great reason for that. And that's because we've been given the free will and the ability to choose. And so when we're faced with learning this, we go down that path. If we were forced down the path, or if we were programmed to not know the negative or the human mind, perhaps we wouldn't appreciate moving into a God mind.
Well, that's what happened with me, right? It's the society I grew up in. It's like, if anything religious was very forced, it's like, you know, you want to go out and play on a Sunday morning, like, no, we're going to go to church. It was like, you have to. We weren't shown why we might want to at all. It's the same thing with school, by the way. Like a lot of, like, I didn't study anything again until I met Bob in my early 40s. Like I went through high school, you know, college, like engineering, and studying was always like, you know, it was like science, math, history, English. We were forced to study things instead of at an early age being invited and seeing why it might make sense to. We don't take the time with kids at all to enlighten them as to why they might want to study certain things and finding out, you know, what those things are. So unfortunately, a lot of people never get back into the habit of studying because it never turned out to do much. Like when I started studying Think and Grow Rich a dozen years ago, it changed everything. Like 10x my income, one book. And that's how I met Bob, right? So I'm like, holy cow, what do these other books have in them? So I don't know about you guys, but I went a good 20 years between college and meeting Bob without really studying a lot. Some of you I know have been studying all along, but it was that whole association with what studying was. And I think that's unfortunately the downside of a lot of religions, is the way the kids are exposed. They don't want to move forward. It doesn't make sense. They're being forced to do something, and it's something that I think is you know, can be a negative in some of that stuff. So Lenny, you want to continue at the top here?
We speak glibly of the truth. We call ourselves truth students, but who among us can define it? Excuse me. We are like the bewildered pilot who many years ago asked Jesus the same question.
I don't know what that is. Does anybody know what that is? It Pilate? Pilate?
I think it's Pilate.
Pilate.
Pilot from Pontius Pilate.
Yep.
Yep.
What does that mean, bewildered Pilate?
Pontius Pilate was a person in the Bible, right?
Well,
Who
he
was
was the,
called to condemn Jesus.
Yeah, he basically
He's
signed
the judge.
Jesus's execution.
But
Gotcha.
he didn't,
Correct.
he didn't know what to do, so he asked the people, what should we
Right.
do?
Gotcha. Thanks for clarifying that. I like
He
to,
chickened
I
out,
like to go along without
blamed
knowing.
everybody else.
Gotcha. All right, continue. I just wanted to know what that meant.
There are many definitions of truth, but one of the most comprehensive is given by Richard Lynch. Truth is the ultimate, illimitable, infinite power pervading all existence. It is hidden. It is the hidden harmony of life, the single thread of meaning, and that runs through the connects all things, the unchangeable principle that controls the universe. To this end was I born, Jesus said, and Jesus also said, and for this cause came I into the world, and I should bear witness unto the truth. Truth is that which is. The human mind deals with the wasness or maybiness of life. Truth deals with the isness of life, since it includes within itself all that is past, present, and future. There is nothing opposed to it, nothing to divide it, nothing to deny it, nothing to unlike it, nothing.
So the reason I highlighted some of this is because this to me made a lot of sense when trying to explain, religiously, like what is God, right? What's universal intelligence, ultimate, illimitable, infinite power pervading all existence, like life force. These are all terms that made sense more to me than some of the things I was explained to as a kid. That's why I highlighted this, right? And then when you call it the truth, there's not 20 versions of the truth. There's just one, right? And all science is trying to come at it one way, and all religion is another, and the study of spirit, but they're all trying to define that which is this limitless, infinite power. So to me, this brought a lot of clarity as to what infinite intelligence, what God is. And I don't know if this impacted you guys, but that's why I highlighted it. It's like, well, that makes sense. And I always use the thing like, what grows an acorn into an oak tree? Because you can't deny that happens. Nobody can deny that happens, but most people, even an atheist, can't deny that happens. They're like, what is that force? So for me, this book in particular, and the power of awareness, some of these other ones, some of these things just really raised my level of awareness. At the top of that, wow, time flies. Couple of things as we wrap up here. Number one, like I said, if you want to learn about the syndicate that we're going to start getting into here, show up for Thursday. We'll record it in case anybody is interested but can't make it Thursday at 4. We'll get that recorded. If you guys could fill out the surveys. I know Val put a link in the WhatsApp chat. Please fill those out. They're anonymous, so you can say good, bad, ugly, what we want to improve, and we appreciate your honest feedback. Absolutely. What else? I think, Science of Getting Rich. Grab your digital copy, your physical copy, whatever that is. The next time that we mastermind, we'll be starting to dig into that. So, and that book, if this book had it doesn't have a religious slant, but has a theological slant. The Science of Getting Rich is more mechanical left brain, right? So we're going to go all over the place with these things and just mastermind them as we get different points of view. So I'm looking into getting into that, and when we're through that one, we'll put some suggestions up and pick the next one. So hopefully you guys got a good value out of today's mastermind. Thank you for recapping on last week. I'm just so supercharged up. I love and appreciate you all. Until next week, be well. God bless. We'll see you soon.